it's just like as a beginning. So we're going to move forward, but this is a live stream issue. We're just going to record the meeting. All right, sounds good.
HR today.
Just so we're aware that we're recording now. Meeting.
We're recording.
We're recording everything now. We're just going to do live stream because it's not going to work. But we're going to record everything, and we'll have that, and we'll post that.
That's fine. Okay. Well, I would have saved us 15 minutes.
I don't know.
We don't have to live stream. Yeah. All right.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your patience.
Are you ready to start recording?
We're recording right now.
Oh, all right. Okay. So do we have Vicki Smith on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes. So you will be taking the seat in the city of Lockport, and you are the president and CEO of GLDC.
Correct. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Sorry I can't be there in person.
That's all right. Well, we have the next one we'll meet you. So, you have any questions for us before we start?
No, I don't. Thank you. I look forward to meeting everybody though.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Minicucci, roll call.
Chairman Upgrove?
Here.
Mr. Boccio? Mr. DiPaolo? Mr. Forma?
Here.
Ms. Johnson?
Present.
Here. Ms. Smith?
Here.
Okay, we have quorum.
Okay, I will move the 124-25 meeting minutes, second by Mr. DiPaolo. All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
and the financial report.
So the first sheet is the unrestricted funds and the activity that's behind it. Since the last board meeting in March, our cash balance right now is $98,102.39. Going into the restricted ARPA funds, we've been spending that down. The ARPA restricted account has a balance of $12,603. We're spending it down on administrative expenses such as insurance, the audit, things like that. And then going into the grants. So the phase one grant, that's for our operations. The administrative balance right now is $79,897.33. I do quarterly draws on that, so the next draw will be drawn down at the end of June. And then in the phase two land bank grant, so right now we have a balance of $753,872.33. But I did just put in a draw of $156,712.54. And I have another bill that's pending to be processed of like a little over $148,000. So that one's drawing down. And Matt can talk a little bit more about the next phases of getting more money for that
I was going to
grant.
ask Matt that anyway. We can kind of, was that the end of the financial report?
Sure.
No, there's more. Is there more? I don't want to cut you off.
Unless anybody has any questions.
Well, I guess the only question, since we do have a new board member, I suppose this would be a good opportunity for Matt to give us a brief Cliff Notes version, phase one, phase two, where we're heading. When I say I don't need the full version, but just generally phase one, phase two, we know how much we have from those grant monies. The ARPA funds we have until, is it the end of 26?
I thought we had to spend it by the end of this year.
25.
Yes.
Okay. I don't have that issue with the county because we've spent it. So I think this
It'll
is
be gone in a few months.
as long as it's spent. So that's not going to be an issue for 12,000. Okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I'll give you the kind of the brief version of our fundings for the land bank initiative, which is administered by the Department of Health.
Your mic is awful. I cannot hear a single word you're saying.
Yeah, maybe use it. Yeah. It's too much like you're giving your toast away. That was awkward.
That other one might be easier. Try that one too.
This is
Done.
done. Okay, Kevin, I'm just gonna kind of stand over here and hopefully you can hear what I'm saying. Is this better?
Oh,
Okay.
significantly. I'm not talking to the Peanuts parents anymore. So
Oh, great. Okay.
Or maybe you actually use that chair if you want.
Yeah, I'll get behind the chair. Right.
That's why I'm the chairman.
There's been a lot of technical things.
It's those
today,
types of
so,
decisions
you know,
that
the
I
chair
make that really
sitting,
keep things
so I'm gonna
moving.
add that in.
Man.
So-
Yes.
So HCR funds us in the tune of $150,000 for the last 3 years in a phase one land bank initiative grant that pays for our operations, that pays legal expenses, you know, our salaries, benefits, and anything that keeps us the lights on. Phase two is capital projects, pre-development money. The state refers to it as sort of like this magic money, if you will, because it funds a lot of things that are filling in the gaps for other programs. That's why they've funded the land bank initiative up to now it's $160 million over the last 6 years. And we have 1.4, well, it's in the packet, 1.4038, whatever, million for phase two, and then it's the 150,000. I was going to announce this later, but in the conference, the Land Bank Association conference in Oswego, Crystal Loeffler, who's the president of OCR, who administers our funding, announced that the phase one grants that were ending in September of this year are going to be renewed for another 2 years to completely fund operations. And the funding levels are going to be announced. And there's very little chance that those are going to go down because of the conversations that several of the bigger land banks are. So I just wanted to kind of let everyone know
I
that.
think the distinction is phase one and phase two doesn't mean it's not chronological. Phase one is the type of spending
Right.
that money is allowed.
Yes.
You receive that money annually, even though it's considered phase one. So it's not as though we move from phase one to phase two. We're using phase one monies every year.
Right.
And then phase two has different a different rationale and different types of projects that are expected to be used with that money.
And it's, and specifically acquisition, stabilization, demolition, partial rehabs. And they do fund new construction through LBI. Some land banks are doing it, but it's all the affordability, low to moderate income stuff if you do a complete new build. And then, if I may, just really quickly, there is a phase three, which it gets kind of complicated because this funding is being administered in such a way as they're sort of meeting it out to all of the land banks in a they consider equitable way. This would be technically called LBI 2. That's the third phase. It's called LBI 2, according to OCR. So we applied, and we should be. Now this is expected. This is not announced. Or what we're working on with them. 1.9 million to do more stabilization, acquisition, demolition, and that'll be broken up into those categories. And it's like, just for example, I think it's 1.125 million for stabilization.
Yeah, so the
Is
phase
that
one,
one point? Sorry, okay. Was that 1.9 for just our land bank, or is that the split?
Yeah, that's just for us.
Okay.
That's for the LBI 2, which is the continuation of that land bank initiative funding, how they're administering it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Matt, the phase one money, is that, I thought, I heard them say that even though we have to like technically apply for it, it's somewhat baked into the budget and almost to the point where it's becoming like dependable. I don't know how you transition that to where it's like in the budget and you don't have to like apply for it every year, but
Absolutely.
so how, and I know that was the conversation. So when do we expect to get it? And how do we reapply for it?
Well, we would, from what I understand of the way Crystal framed it in her presentation, it almost seems as though it's going to be a continuation of our current grant. And we'll have to do like we've done in the last 3 years, submit a letter saying we'd like to continue this funding.
Okay.
And then in this case, we might get a new contract with a new SHARS ID that,
Yeah.
but it's a continuation of the funding, just like the phase 2 funding. But no, yeah, that's a great question. And to your other larger point, Caitlin Wright from Syracuse is the chair of the legislative committee in the Land Bank Association, and she's said that they're pivoting their ask to the state Now, because of that funding being so dependably baked into the budget every year, whether it's $50 million the last budget cycle or whatever.
So do you have a time frame on when you're gonna be able to submit that letter and budget?
It would have to be before September, October.
Okay,
That's when ours is.
okay.
So it'll be right around before then.
Okay, do we, oh, this is, I don't want to put you on the spot, 'cause I don't expect you to know this, but, for our new board member, Vicky Smith, one of the things that you may want to take a look at is where the city of Lockport is relative to their in-rem.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is it, Matt, are you aware, has a date been set for that?
No, that's a great question. I don't know their exact date. I have the list. I have their current list.
Okay.
Lisa Verano in the treasurer or their treasurer's office has been very, very helpful, and so has Sue throughout. So I have to, truthfully,
Well, what I guess what I was gonna suggest to Ms. Smith is that take a look at when your in-rem is, take a look at any properties you may or may not have coming on that list. I have no idea when it is. But the other thing is, take a quick look at the land bank bylaws if you haven't done that already, because it very clearly lays out how it is that property is transferred from the city to the land bank for engagement by the land bank. And that's probably the most important role, I would think, for the representatives from the cities, is to be familiar with your in-rem, the properties that are coming onto it, and what opportunities, if any, you may have in that list. Okay, are we on to 413 16th Street? Am I missing anything? No.
Well, there is the spreadsheet,
Oh, okay, yeah, let's take a look at that.
and I did send a revised version, because we have two places that we have to put this information. We have this that gives us all of our detail, and then HCR requires they have a shared drive that we have to put everything in, so it kind of goes into. And I was keeping the shared drive up to date, and this one got away from us a little bit with the committed dollar amount, but I fixed it yesterday, and we're down, and it's actually going to get fixed again, because Amy said that the vacant lots that we have like $3,000 assigned to, some of them may be cheaper, because she has the environmental contract. So we might be able to allocate money. We might have more money to allocate.
Okay.
Because we'll be.
Oh, all right, well, that makes sense. We're already familiar with the properties.
Oh, wow.
So it's. He's not.
So we had the time modified it because I know what I would represent.
Yeah.
Because we-
Yes, and that's part of the reason. So not to skip ahead in the agenda, but that when we get to, no. I put that on the agenda so we could talk. No. Talk about it as a project that we had accepted as NORLIC yet. Because the long story short, we'll get, is it all right if we jump to the wrapper?
Yes, I will make that decision, yes.
Thank you. I have just, I don't think I have a slide for it because of this whole technical thing. I was going to pull it up on the screen, but.
Are you referring to 1711 Main Street?
1711 Main Street is the Rapids Theater. The city and the URA and NORLIC are working securitizing the building and doing a building condition survey to support the overall Main Street project. There are several
Securing the building?
securing in the sense that we changed the locks and we might put on some boards on the roof. Some boards to prevent further leakage, that's all. So part of the proposal that our gave us is to do a building condition survey and that like about $8,000 of securing the building, putting up boards, putting on new, plywood and all that kind of
Phase
stuff.
two money?
Yes,
Okay.
that if it's approved through.
What's our role with respect to Rapids Theater as a land bank?
That's why I wanted to put this on here, because to me, I don't think, truthfully, the HCR's directive is to use this money in support of creation and preservation of housing units. And so while we can support the overall goal of the district, which would create a lot of housing with, doing this on the Rapids Theater, I think I would say our role should be very limited. And this is something we typically do, building condition surveys to support a future development.
This would qualify for phase two reimbursement.
Yeah, that's why I want to get the approval here.
Okay.
Before we go too far down that road.
Okay.
Because if it's not, there is still the approval of HCR we have to get to add it as an address.
What you need from us is approval to move forward, make whatever request or application you need to make to HCR.
Yeah.
To allocate funding for securing the building and trying to keep it from getting any worse.
Yes.
Do you think it's going to be less than $10,000?
It'll be probably 70,000 altogether to do the conditions, to do boarding up and just making it, because there are probably 7 leak points in the roof.
Well, I think it's an important building for that part of the town. Everything else we're doing. Well, I understand it, but I certainly understand and appreciate what you're saying relative to our perimeters, relative to the mission of the land bank and how far down the road we can get on this. I don't really have a problem with securing the building, part of the overall project of the old Blue Cardinal properties, but I think our engagement on that building will be probably fairly limited. So Kevin, whatever thoughts you're going to have, I don't know the Niagara Falls, is it urban renewal?
Right.
Kevin?
Yeah, yes.
I don't-
Can you hear me?
I don't know what role that agency is going to have relative to this building. So we're willing to do this. Is that something that agency wants us to do, to secure the building and try to keep it from deteriorating anymore by making some minor fixes or repairs to the roof?
Certainly that is something that the URA is in favor of. I think we've been talking to a potential tenant of that building. So the work that Matt described is pretty key at this point to making that happen. And then, I think ultimately the Urban Renewal Agency either sells this building or becomes, we have the ability to actually lease and become a landlord too. But the work that Matt described is certainly key to the activity along Main Street here. And the Rapids Theater, I think, as you correctly noted, is a key building along this stretch of Main, where we now own the remainder of the properties from Blue Cardinal. So.
Okay, so with that, Kevin, are you going to make a motion then?
I will certainly make a motion.
Okay.
Niagara Falls will motion.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Now we're on to 413 16th Street.
Yeah. So this is a house that I got a phone call from a Canadian family property in the city of Niagara Falls. And they want to donate it to the land bank because they don't have any real use for it, and they want to be a good member of the community. They heard about us, they heard about our mission, and they thought that we would be the best steward of their property. I'm still kind of talking about it with them. In order to do it, I think what they would ask for is just to, be able to donate it to us. I told them that typically we charge, to cover our legal expenses and that sort of thing.
What's the address, Matt?
It's 413 16th Street. I did go out and look at it myself. It's in fairly decent shape. It's in the short-term rental zone. I can get access to the interior, and have our property.
Are there any taxes or fees that are in arrears to the city of Niagara Falls?
It's not, for that I can see. They've paid everything and the lawn is mowed.
Okay.
So I
Rick,
can,
I can double check on we'll double check on my end. I'll ask the folks here. I'll also check for any open code violations.
Are we in a position now this is for approval to accept it?
that's at that point, if you're not comfortable with that, I can do an questions that you're here first. But yeah, it would be open to, they're open to just giving it to us. So if you said yes, we'll accept it.
Well, I don't want them to wait another month, but I think at the very least, we need to double check to make sure nothing in the rear and get somebody out to at least take a look at it.
Okay.
So what I would suggest is, rather than make them wait a month, I don't want to make it difficult for somebody who's willing to donate a property to us. It may be a decent property. But what I would say is, unless anyone on the board disagrees, my thoughts are, at the very least, we need to double check to make sure there's no arrears, so there are no issues with the city. And then at least have somebody put eyes on it, either at the very least outside, inside, somebody who could give us a kind of a property assessment report. And then what I would suggest is that we simply by email as soon as that's done.
Right.
In a week or so. There's no reason we can't vote by email.
Right.
So we would want that. We would just want the condition report. And I would tell the people who are donating that we're extremely grateful. We simply want to double check and do our due diligence, make sure there's nothing in arrears. Get somebody out there to take a quick look. Maybe they can facilitate that, even let us in if they're open to that. And because, in any other property that we would take, regardless of the condition, we always would do a property assessment report first.
Yeah.
So I think that at the very least we need to do that. I don't care who does it, but I think we need to have eyes on the property.
Okay. Absolutely.
Tell them that we will do that, and assuming that everything's fine, we would be more than grateful for their donation, and that we'll take it.
Thank you.
Sure. So that one we will, we'll just await that report.
Okay. Sounds good.
Can you have a realtor RFP?
Yeah, so we put out a RFP to our website, social media, put it out to individual realtors, the Buffalo Niagara Association of Realtors board, circulated it as widely as we were able. We did get 2 responses, actually very good responses from very well-known realtors and active members of the community, very devoted to the city of Niagara Falls in one case and just Western New York in general in the other case. And this was for commercial and residential services that we would, it was like Amy has done with her request for qualification, how we phrased it. So we could realistically, I think, go with whoever you want to go with, but I would say
716 is at 2%.
It's amazing.
Red Doors at 4.5.
It's a very good offer for me.
Right, so you're comfortable with that? All right. Ms. Johnson, you want to move that? No. Great, thank you. Second by Mr. DiPaolo, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I don't know if we need to do this or not. Because I don't have the attorney stripping in my ear. Well, I'm going to go back to 413 16th Street, and I'm going to make a motion to table that. And then I'll get a second from Mr. DiPaolo. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, that way that cleans that up, so we don't have to worry about somebody looking at the minutes. Junkyard foreclosure?
Thank you. I just wanted to put this on the agenda for discussion, I think right now, no action. For the purposes of Ms. Smith, I'll give the history of this. We have a number of junkyards in the town that were problems for many years. They weren't paying their taxes. The county did not want to move forward with foreclosure because they didn't want to be in the chain of title for, say, you know, obviously had some sort of contamination given their use. So, tax lien was transferred to the land bank, and upon doing that, some of the junkyards came forward and paid their tax. Left us with, instead of parcels that were all contiguous, and possibly we could have done something with like a larger amount of land, we had like all these disjointed small parcels. So since then, and I don't know how long ago was that, maybe 2 years ago? I mean, it's been a while. Since then, we've had these tax liens on our website. We've tried everything we can to market them. One of the drawbacks, we can't list them, you know, and try and sell them like we could with any other property because we don't own them. We only tax lien, we don't own the property. So we've done, you know, we've put them in our newsletter. Amy has spoken about them at brownfield conferences. We've worked with Buffalo Business First to talk about them. I mean, we've reached out to developers. I don't know what else we could do. So I guess I'm just at the point where I wanted to suggest to the board to at least consider, and maybe we could start talking about it and thinking about maybe we do pursue foreclosure, because more recently we've had a number of developers that did have an interest in them. But I mean, what it really comes down to when you boil it down is you have a very small parcel in some cases. And if you said to that person, you know, how much would you pay for this land? The answer is not cost of foreclosure. The cost of foreclosure exceeds the value of the land, especially since they're all covered with junk and they're contaminated. So, I mean, it's a little bit, truthfully, it's a little bit of a gamble because so our thought was, you know, as we've talked internally, well, if we use grant money to foreclose on the properties and then we applied for grant money to clean them up. And when I say clean them, I'm not even speaking environmental cleaning. I'm saying just clear the debris.
Isn't there, where I don't want to do this, but isn't there, I think Chuck Nesbitt told me about it, method to remove the property from the tax code altogether? There's some property owners that was utilized, and I don't even remember this.
I remember that conversation, yeah.
But I wouldn't necessarily want to do that for this. Then if people will just dump on it. And of course, I think at this point, if that's what we want to do, then we need to engage the, yes.
The property tax.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're right. I think that's what I'm not suggesting we follow that process because.
But that wouldn't eliminate the tax lien, right?
I think at this point, what we want to do is if we're talking about foreclosing, that means the county of Niagara needs to be engaged.
Yeah.
So the next step would be to get it on the county agenda. But we will talk to the treasurer first.
Hold on, let me ask you something. Does the county need to be engaged? Because the county transferred the tax liens. Just like.
Oh, that's right. No, the land bank.
So the land bank owns the tax liens. So that's what I'm saying.
No, you're right.
The land bank could use grant money.
Then we're going to have to decide. So we should take, what information do we need to decide as a land bank whether or not?
Well, historically there wasn't an appetite to do it because, you know, we thought we had all these opportunities. Like, well, we're going to reach out to this developer, see this. And what I'm coming to the board and saying that we've done everything. And
don't we have,
this is the feedback
once
we're
we
getting.
foreclose, don't we have a limit under our agreement with DEC to how long? It's 4 years. Do we think that if we foreclose that we could,
well, that's
for that property within 4 years?
That's the gamble. If we
don't, then in the land bank, then
we don't. I mean, we don't own.
Right.
Yeah, we don't.
Oh, I understand. Right.
Yeah,
right.
we got to sell them. So
if the DEC is comfortable with that, with us doing the phase one and then foreclosing with the liens that were already transferred to the county. All right, so we'll have a conversation about that. Any information you think we need for the next meeting, we can put it on the agenda.
Okay, yeah, I just I wouldn't put something down that was first introducing the discussion. So, and I would also think that, I don't know this, but would we hire outside counsel to do this? It doesn't, I mean, I can talk to Katie about it, but this seems like
Let her decide what she wants to do.
Okay.
I think she could do it, but if she thinks we should engage outside counsel, that's fine too.
Okay. done.
Yes. Why not?
It's, we could, yes, we could, but I mean, it is, so that's where I was trying to say it was a little bit of a gamble.
Probably do is, would it be possible if you do an RFP looking for somebody that utilizes that type of, material?
So I was more recently talking to some gentlemen that I thought would be interested, and they got some estimates on the removal of all the garbage on also the estimate they got. I mean, again, that's just hearsay. It's not like we've done our own work, but the gamble comes in is that, okay, we can either use our own grant funds or apply for a grant to have all that junk removed. And then honestly, I think it would be a little bit easier to sell these parcels because yeah, you're still looking for somebody that is going to be a cash buyer. You're not going to get bank financing, but there's plenty of those kinds of people out there that do that type of work. But yeah, we've had enough interest in the site. Yeah, we just can't overcome the cost of debris removal and foreclosure. And the other thing is that, you know, to be completely upfront with the board for point of consideration is that we could very well foreclose on these and then not get grant money and have to use our existing grant money or, you know, face that problem. So these are all points of consideration for everybody to think about and fun to think about.
Okay. I appreciate that. We'll have more conversations if we want to have more information. Before we go back, I don't know if Matt has anything else. Any of the cities, Orange County, North Tonawanda, Rockport, Niagara Falls, does anyone have anything that you have on your radar that you wanted to bring to our attention that we may be looking at in the near future? Any questions, concerns? Okay, Matt, you have anything
Oh,
else?
sorry, Rick. Just one thing, like, what I would like to approach the land bank with at some point. Not that you guys don't do enough in the city of Niagara Falls, right? Our old public service building on 520 Hard Park Boulevard, really probably is going to require some demo. So we may be looking at a conversation with the land bank to take that property from the city, so we can use brownfield remediation money to do so. But I just wanted to bring that up.
Appreciate that. That's why.
Kevin, are you saying that because if the land bank owns the property, then we're qualified to apply for the brownfield and the city's not?
That's my understanding of it. Yes.
Now,
Sure.
only caution. Has,
I didn't hear that.
oh, sorry. My only caution, like to the board, would be that if we're gonna pursue that, I'd want to get pre-approval from EPA that we could use a grant.
Yep.
From the Development Corporation to clean up the property, just because the city of Niagara Falls is a member of the land.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I don't see how that would play out, so I would just want to get like pre-approval of that before the
Yeah.
land bank takes that.
Cool.
Not eligible.
Yeah, or I agree with you. And the other thing with the alternative, we could also take it and give it back. If we're only taking it for that purpose, and then have the opportunity to give it. So if something went wrong,
Right.
if we're not using our own grant money, we're applying for your grant. Okay.
And you know, it's not a super onerous process to go through to get like that pre-approval clearance. So I would just recommend we do that. That way it's just.
That money funds demo.
It will fund demo only if it's really.
Oh,
So if we say that there's contamination underneath the building and get it back by building, then demo. The money is capped at $500,000.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, Matt, you have a presentation?
I just have a couple of quick things I wanted to kind of go over. I did go to recently, and there was some direction from the state that just kind of doesn't exactly change what we do, but it kind of flavors what we do a little differently. The money that we're getting through the land bank initiative has a lot of flexibility. It's very flexible in what we do. However, Crystal Loeffler, our group, that the money that we'll be getting in the future, which is meant to support capital projects, 1.125 million that are getting is part of that. In addition to the money that we currently have that we flip to capital expenses, has to go towards the creation and preservation of housing units. That's the priority for that money, which is a little bit of a difference than how it was before. So we had been doing commercial projects and this and that with the LBI, and it's not off the table. It's just the priority from the top is the creation and preservation of housing units. Repeated over and over and over. So I just wanted to share that. There was that, and I was going to mention the phase one renewal. The land bank initiative was funded for another $50 million. Our operational money is going to be renewed for another 2 years and likely increase. The Syracuse, Buffalo, Binghamton land banks are all asking for more money. They're probably going to increase it. And honestly, you know, the whole thing was just focused on working together to now shift from a focus of like getting that funding in the budget every year that seems to be secured to now making it easier for land banks to do their work through lobbying and through other mechanisms that the Land Bank Association has. I want everyone to know that I'm actually a board member now of the Land Bank, board member at large, and I joined the legislative committee and the conference committee. So I'm hoping we can bring a conference to our neck of the woods here someday. But I don't want to go into too much. I just, generally speaking, NORLIC is in a great place. And I want to say that, when I go to a conference like that, it reminds me of how unique we are. There's no other land bank that has an economic development focus, and or is housed in an IDA, economic development agency either, and there's nobody doing the types of projects that we do in, the city of Niagara Falls or even in, any of our other places. So they're pleased with the work we're doing. And, all of this is, whether it's in the creation or preservation of housing units or not, it's in the interest of renewing, reviving community. That's all I have really for now. I didn't want to take up too much time.
That's okay. It's all relevant. All right. We don't have anything under attorney business. Does anybody else have anything? Any questions, concerns, projects that you think you may be looking at in the near future? Okay, I will move to adjourn. Second by Ms. Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Is computer off?
Dave, are we done recording?
Yes, sir, he said.
So the problem
Good. So